Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Peta, and today we're going to be doing some kind of hitting up some of these trees over here along the coastline of our future lake, clearing these out and kind of setting some dirt down in those little water patches that are where the shore is going to be. And we're going to do that while we're talking about today's topic, which I've decided is going to be pushing out of your comfort zone. This is something that I think everyone's done at least once. You know, it can be something small, it can be something big, but regardless, everyone has done something outside of their comfort zone before. And anyone who's done that knows how hard it can be to push yourself out of the comfort zone. And I think it's because the human brain fears the unknown, right? We humans, we try to understand everything because what we don't understand is potentially harmful to us. And I think that's something that's kind of just like instinctual. We don't kind of, you know, like if our, sorry, our ancestors, right? They see a potential threat, right? Instead of taking the chance to go interact with it, they would have run or they would have fought, something like that, right? And even though we don't have to deal with that anymore in the modern day, that physiological instinct still exists within us, and I think that is a big part of our grievances with trying to put ourselves out of our comfort zone. Because, right, if we fear uncertainty and the unknown, and our potential is unknown to us, right? We fear our own potential because it isn't predictable, right? We don't know who we can be. We don't know what the future has in store for us. So a majority of us are just content with what we have right now and keeping it. If you've ever had like a routine, it's probably something to do with, not being comfortable going outside of your comfort zone. And I think it's okay to do that sometimes. But I've actually learned recently, pushing out of your comfort zone is kind of fun. And it's a very growing experience for a person. Whether it's like talking to a new person that you don't know, or trying something new, even though you don't know if you'll like it, it's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and that takes many forms, right? For example, right, a small thing, I never really tried many new foods. I was always I always would order the same stuff when I went out. I'd always make the same stuff at home because for me, I know what I like. I know what kind of foods I like. I know what tastes good. And so when I was forced with the decision to try something new, right, I wouldn't, because why would I try something new and be uncertain if I'm going to like it or love it or not like it at all? Why would I force myself on that decision when I can just do something I've already done before that I know I like, right? But recently, I've been trying some more foods. I work at a grocery store, and specifically in the produce section, and I've been buying some produce that I've never tried before. I recently bought a Kawano horned melon, and I tried it, and it's pretty good, all things considered, and it's not something I've never tried before, and I never really had the urge to try it, but I figured, I might as well. I only live once, by the way. That's my excuse for pushing myself out of my comfort zone anytime I do. Or something like, I used to be scared of bugs. When I was a kid, I didn't like any bugs at all. Like, that includes stuff that I like now, like ladybugs, dragonflies, bees. I was just very scared of bugs as a kid, and slowly, I kind of like pushed myself to interact with them more and kind of observe them, and I think it's helped me a lot in kind of getting over that fear, just kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone and kind of forcing myself to, like, I would start letting dragonflies land on me, and I just watch them, right? And slowly I kind of learned, like, they don't bite, they don't, hurt me. They might tickle a little bit, but they're peaceful and they're not something that I should be afraid of, right? And I can speak for most people when I say that we prefer things to be predictable. It gives us a sense of control of our situation. And like I said, it's like why someone might stay with a job that they don't like, right? Because it's better to have kind of a routine that you're not really confident in or that you're not really happy with, but at least you know what your day is going to look like, rather than having everything be unpredictable and you don't know what the next day has for you. I think it keeps us safe, kind of. And I want to give you guys some advice for how you can push your comfort zones a little bit, because I've been having a lot of fun doing that recently, which is not something I think I would ever say normally, but the biggest one is just starting a YouTube channel, right? Do something you wanted to do. I guess it doesn't have to be a YouTube channel, obviously, but if you've been wanting to make a YouTube channel, but you are scared of how people are going to think of you and how they're going to see you, right? If you don't like your voice or you don't think you're funny or entertaining, just start a YouTube channel. Same thing applies. If you want to learn a new skill, say you want to learn about cars, right? I'm not a car guy, so I probably can't take this, metaphor very far, or not metaphor, but you know what I mean. I can't take this analogy very far, but if you wanted to learn a new skill, like, working on cars and repairing them, it can seem like a daunting task, right? There's a lot of parts in a car. There's a lot of moving parts too, everything interacts with each other. But break it down into smaller parts, and then you have something that's kind of more tackleable, right? That's what I'm doing with this project at the lake, right? I could try to just do everything all at once. I could try to make the shore, actually make the lake bed, fill out everything around it. But I understand that that's a huge task to put myself through. And I know that I like to get out of my comfort zone, but I don't think I would want to get out of my comfort zone that bad. So take something at smaller. Take a project and break it into smaller tasks. That's what I'm trying to say. It makes everything easier because it makes everything more manageable for you, right? Instead of thinking about, wow, I have to do this entire project all at once. It can be overwhelming, right? But if you take it into smaller tasks, you get this sense that, okay, well, if I do this, I can just do this for now, right? I can just learn how an engine works on a car, right? Instead of trying to learn how the engine interacts with the axles and all the stuff like that, right? Just break it into small parts, and it becomes more manageable for you. And if that doesn't work, break it into smaller parts, right? For example, I've broken it into smaller parts already by taking on just clearing this lakeside. But if I thought that was too much for me, I could just say, let's take from, here to there, right? Leave all this untouched. And then you kind of just find where you do that, you subdivide that until you get to a point where you are comfortable pushing out of your comfort zone, right? It can be a little bit, it can be a lot, right? It kind of depends on who you are and how you feel about doing this, but eventually you're going to break this task down so small that it doesn't seem like a big deal to do one thing, right? And then you do that, and then you just repeat that until you have completed the bigger task. And I feel like I'm not doing a really great job of explaining this, and I'm sure someone out there has probably explained it better. But I kind of came to this revelation recently, so I'm very excited to share it. But it's been making everything more enjoyable, right? Just kind of taking things one step at a time. can be that small step forward, right? And hell, you might have 2 steps back, right? But the thing is that you took that small step, and now you can take that small step again, right? You know that even though your first small step might have resulted in something that you weren't proud of, you can do it again, and you can try it again. And I think, like I said, I'm doing a bad job of explaining this, but I really do think that this is like one of the most helpful things that you can start doing. You can do it for everyday things, right? Hell, you have a hard time getting out of bed, start breaking it down, right? Maybe move 1 foot off the bed every 5 minutes. I don't have that kind of time, but if you do, go for it. I think what I'm trying to say, right, is that this is how you can stay motivated to do something, right? I've been wanting to do this project for so long, and I have a creative copy of this world that I kind of built in, and I've kind of started trying to lay out the lake bed. But it's a really big task, and every time I start doing it, at least until now, I've been very hesitant. I'll start doing it for 5 minutes and then realize how big of a task it is. And this kind of, I think I mentioned this a little bit in my video my topic a few videos ago, the perfection, how it creates burnout. Sorry, that was a voice crack. But as I was saying, it can create burnout. So you have to take things at a pace that you are comfortable with. And I think it's kind of this like weird paradox where in order to get out of your comfort zone, you have to be comfortable with getting out of your comfort zone, which sounds like this weird, idea, like, okay, thank you. Sorry, I guess I'm getting interrupted. But you have to be comfortable getting out of your comfort zone, which seems like it might be easier said than done, but it's really not. Because like I said, you break these tasks down, and suddenly this big project doesn't seem so big anymore. And it might seem, and even if it seems big, it's in these small enough parts where you can just kind of start breaking down these smaller parts, and then you can have tasks that are like minimal, right? If I wanted to, I could just say, hey, my task for today is chopping down this tree. And I chop it down, and I say, okay, that's it. And I come back the next day, and I say, maybe this tree over here. And you just start working. Now, obviously, mining one tree is kind of, the very extreme example of that. But, maybe I say, hell, I want to clear out these 7 trees over here. And then you slowly can start getting comfortable with setting a new routine of doing that to the point where then you're comfortable doing bigger things and better things. And I just like thinking like this because it makes these things, like, I remember I was talking about how perfectionism kills my motivation and it makes things hard for me. But doing this, and I've been doing this recently, I just noticed I'm missing a block up there. Sorry. But recently I've been kind of thinking about it more of just like I've been doing what I've said I was doing, right? Breaking everything down, and it makes everything so much easier to do. It really keeps my motivation there, right? I want to finish this. I want to make videos, and it really helps just having a routine that you're comfortable with, and then slowly just upgrading that routine into something bigger. And I'm sure I've repeated the same thing over and over, but I really want anyone who struggles with pushing out of their comfort zone to know this, because it has been, dare I say, life-changing. It's such a strong, revelation to have. Sorry, I was using my hands to talk because I'm so passionate about this right now. But it's such a good opportunity just to help you grow. And I think that's going to be it for this video. And look at that. In the course of 14 minutes? I mean, I guess you can't see a whole lot because my render distance isn't that far. And also the leaves are still decaying, but look at how much progress we made. We cleared like that entire shoreline over there. And I guess I didn't do the dirt like I said I was going to, but I can do that off camera, or I can do that next video. But just taking these projects one at a time in small tasks, it can be very, very motivational for you. So I recommend doing it. And like, if you guys do start doing it, let me know what you're gonna change, and like, let me know what you're gonna try to push, or let me know the comfort zone you're gonna try to push out of, because I want to know, right? If you're gonna maybe see this video and you feel a little bit inspired to talk to that one person at work that you kind of want to be friends with, but you've been too scared to talk to, right? Let me know, because I want to know. I like interacting with you guys. It's very fun. It's very cool just being able to interact with the community who's very open about themselves, and I just enjoy it. So please let me know. Also, sorry if the videos have been a little bit inconsistent. I know I said that I was going to do every 2 days, but I might just be doing like 2 to 3 a week. And I know that's not very consistent either, but it's kind of just something I don't want to kill my passion for uploading videos, right? I mean, obviously they're not hard to make, but I like making them, and I like to record when I like making them, because it makes, I think it helps me bring an energy to it that I wouldn't have if I was just forcing myself to record. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. So you can ignore that first community post. That was just not a lie, but I think I was a little bit too excited, and I kind of forgot that I can do things at my own pace, how I like it. So that being said, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone.